welcome back to another episode of PT Meal Podcast, a buffet of play, movement, exercises, activities, and leisure, all packed in a hearty conversation of physical therapy, profession, and practice. I am Johan De La Paz, your host. Welcome to the show. So today we are going to talk about how to be an entrepreneur and to start your own home health contract business. So let me welcome the rehabpreneur himself, Engelbert De Vera. Bert, welcome to the podcast. It's been a long time coming.
I know, Johan. Thanks for having me here, man. I appreciate the invite, and I'm so excited to talk about this model, and hopefully I can answer some questions from you, and
Mhm.
hopefully it'll open the eyes of our colleagues regarding different business models, not just home health contract that we're gonna
Mhm.
discuss tonight.
Right, right. I'm excited for this conversation. But before we dig in to what we're about to talk about, could you give us a little background of who you are and what you're doing right now?
Sure. So my name is Bert De Vera. Full name is Engelbert. I'm a physical therapist. I'm originally from the Philippines, as most of you guys know. I came here fourth quarter of 1997, and that was 3 weeks after I got married.
Oh, wow.
3 weeks, I was still in my honeymoon stage. My wife was left back home because she was also finishing her internship in medical
Mhm.
school. So I had to go, and that was tough, right? So fourth quarter of 97, and got through orientation and reviews and all that. So make the story short, I got my license in 98, and then I worked as an employee PT from 98 to mid 2003.
Mhm.
Okay. So I know the daily grind of putting in, 8, 9 hours every day, working on weekends, and you're so happy when you get overtime, right?
Mhm.
So been there, done that, got the t-shirt for it. So um, mid 2003, I decided to start my own business.
Mhm.
By the way, that was the time we were expecting our second child. My wife was already here. Our daughter was 3 years old, so she was born 2000. So the way it came to that point is that I was working 21 days straight.
Mhm.
That was a turning point in my life, in my career. They couldn't find a PT to replace me, so they made me work 21 days straight, including Sunday,
Wow.
obviously, and that was tough. And on my third week, I was about to cry on my way home because
Mhm.
we were pregnant with our second child. All
Mhm.
right, our daughter was 3 years old. I come home hungry, tired, and with a bunch of paperwork to finish. And my wife was with our daughter, the whole day. She was
Mhm.
expecting, an adult conversation when I get home, and I couldn't give it to her because I was so freaking tired.
Mhm.
And so we were fighting. She was pregnant, and I couldn't play with our daughter.
Mhm.
I felt like a horrible person. I felt like a horrible husband. And finally, that was the last straw.
Mhm.
We spoke, we sat down, and I said, okay, something's got to change. This is not the American dream that we want. I don't want to live our lives like this. Okay. So I asked her blessing. I asked for her blessing, and I said, if you would give me your blessing, I'd like to start a business and see what happens. If in 3 to 6 months it doesn't work out, I'll go back look for another job. I would still have my license anyways.
Mhm.
So with my wife's blessing, she said, "Go ahead, let's try it," and then the rest is history. So
Mhm.
that's my story in a short
Mhm.
paragraph, I guess. So
So
yeah,
that's your motivation to start it to become a an entrepreneur, start your own
yes,
business. Mm, gotcha. And is your first business this home health contract business? Is that what you started with?
yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But initially, I was planning on doing an outpatient clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then I did the feasibility study, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to study, okay, if I do traditional outpatient, I have to have a clinic, I have to have receptionists, I have to lease equipment, then I have to be there day one. And then I'm going to have to hire help, right?
Right.
So I did the math, and it just scared me. It scared me to death to think that I have to borrow money,
Mm-hmm.
almost 50 to 100,000 to start. And I just couldn't take that risk.
Mm-hmm.
So I did my research and I found out that home health contracting is another business model
Mhm.
that I can do, because you don't have to have a clinic, you don't have to have full-time employees. I don't even have to market to doctors, So the three main sources of headaches for any rehab business is out the window. Okay,
Mhm.
what are those? Number one, marketing to doctors. Okay,
Mhm.
it's not easy, so I don't do that. The home health agency does that. Okay.
Mhm.
Number two, billing Medicare and insurance. I
Mhm.
don't do that because I bill the home health agency directly. It's almost the closest thing to cash base. They pay us every 2 weeks or during their payroll period or payroll dates. Okay. So that's the second. And the third one, the third source of headache for any business is keeping full-time employees, because you have to
Mhm.
pay salary, full benefits, insurance, and all that stuff. All my staff are PRN,
Mhm.
so I can sleep well at night and not think about, oh crap, in 2 weeks I have to pay somebody. I
Right.
only pay them when they bring in money, meaning when they see patients. The money has to come from somewhere. In any
Mhm.
business, the money has to come from somewhere. So
Right.
where's the money coming from? So if they're PRN, I'm paying them from the money that they brought in because they saw patients.
Mhm.
If they don't see patients, then obviously I don't pay them.
Right. Right.
So
Okay. So that's good. The three headaches that full time business or traditional business models would have, it's already
it's out
addressed
the
there,
window.
out of the
Yep.
window. So let's discuss first, what is a home health contract business for those who are not familiar with this like me. So how does it work? What is it, and how does it work?
Great question. Great question. And by the way, remind me at the end of this interview, there's 4 videos that will explain this in detail that we can give out to your audience. They can
Okay.
download it for free.
All
But
right.
to make this story short, or to explain it
Mm-hmm.
and how it works. So this is how it works. So a home health agency is certified by Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, usually Medicare Part A.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they cater to homebound patients. So
Right.
normally, when patients go home from the hospital after a TKR or hip replacement or fracture or whatever diagnosis, and they're homebound, they cannot go to a clinic. Then they're
Mm-hmm.
considered homebound. Therefore, the home health agency has to serve them,
Mm-hmm.
meaning they provide the nursing services, skilled nursing, rehab, PTOT, SLP, whatever they need, and sometimes home care aides, social worker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way home health contracting works is, instead of the home health agency relying on their in-house therapies alone,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them don't even have any in-house, they just contract because they also don't want to pay full-time benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
They contract with a company like my company. Okay. My
Okay.
company's name is Therapy Outsource.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is what happens. Let's say you're the patient.
Mm-hmm.
You're 65 and over. You got out of the hospital, and the doctor ordered, okay, home health for Johan, 3 times a week for 4 weeks, status post, right? TKR, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the agency got the referral.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it ABC Home Health.
Mm-hmm.
So ABC Home Health now will either send their in-house therapist to you or call my company and say, hey, Bert, we have a referral. This is Mr. De La Paz. He just had right TKR. Can you guys see him? And we're like, okay, what's his location? Is it out in the boondocks or Timbuktu? If he's in the city, we'll see him.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have a geographical, boundaries, right? So let's say we say, okay, we'll see him. And then what happens is, when we do our evaluation, let's say I send a PT, a PRN PT, to evaluate you.
Right.
Okay, 3 times a week for 4 weeks. After the PT does the evaluation, we will now send our PTA to do the
Okay.
follow-up visits. Okay, so follow the frequency. 3 times a week for 4 weeks. How many
Mm-hmm.
visits is that? 12, right? Okay. The next point now is, how do we make money? Okay. Where is the money in this business? Okay. Where does it come from? So normally, like here in Texas, the minimum contract is $75 flat rate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Within the city limits, it's
Mm-hmm.
85 to 90 if you go outside city limits. Okay. Let's stick to 75. So 3 times a week for 4 weeks, 12 visits at $75 a pop, $75 per visit. I pay my PT supervisor 75. So I don't make money there.
Mm-hmm.
0, right? However, I pay my PRN PTA $45.
Okay.
Okay. But we bill the agency $75, even if the PTA sees you, the patient, because that's our contract with the agency. It's business to business.
Okay.
It's just like a traveling or staffing company that sends therapists 13 weeks in the SNF or any hospital. They charge a flat rate, right? No matter what.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. What's the difference between you and a staffing agency or a
We're
registry?
local. The difference is we're local and we
Mhm.
don't require 13-week contract.
Gotcha.
So it's a huge benefit to the local agency because it's pay as you go for them also.
Mm-hmm.
They're not tied up to a 13-week contract and they don't
Mm.
have to wait for someone to come in from another state.
Mm-hmm.
Plus they're helping the local, business community if they hire us, and we know the area. We know a lot of people in the area. Okay.
Gotcha.
So that's a big difference. So let's go back to the cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So $75 is what we bill the agency. We pay the PTA $45.
Mm-hmm.
So remember the 12 visits?
Mm-hmm.
So first visit to the PT evaluator, the 12th and last visit also to the PT evaluator for the discharge.
Mm-hmm.
The 10 visits in between goes to the PTA, right?
Right.
So if we bill the agency $75 and we pay the PTA $45, how much is our profit?
35 times 10.
30.
30 times
75
10.
minus, yeah.
All right.
75 minus 45 is 30. So
My
$30.
stress, you know.
That's all right. That's all right. $30 times 10 visits is $300.
Mm-hmm.
That's our profit on one referral.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
All right. So now, as an owner of the company, I can decide to do the eval
Mm-hmm.
and do the discharge. So if I pay myself 75 on the eval, I pay myself 75 on the discharge. That's 150, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus the $300 profit on my PTA at $30 times 10. I just made how much? $450 on one referral.
Right.
And how much time will it require me? Okay, as a PT, I did 30 minutes eval, 30 minutes discharge, 30 plus 30, an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
I made $450 in 1 hour. What is the average salary of PTs now across the nation? If you go to salary.com, it will average 50, 55 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to $450 an hour. That's a no-brainer. Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So this is why, I always share a famous quote from Jim Rohn. If anybody knows Jim Rohn, he's a very good philosopher,
Mhm.
Christian philosopher, business person. He always says, profit is better than wages. Okay. He always says that. So it's a question of, as a therapist, do you want to earn $50 trading your time per hour,
Mhm.
dealing with politics in the nursing home, putting up with productivity? Or do you want to make more than $50 an hour as a profit?
Mhm.
Okay. And this is also the reason why when I ask someone to, when they talk to me and ask me, okay, Bert, how do I do this? Okay. I always ask them first, okay, before we even talk about the business, I have a specific question for you. Do you want to be a worker or do you want to be a business owner?
Mhm.
Because if you want to be a worker, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not
Mhm.
condemning you. I'm not saying, hey, just because I'm doing business and you're not, I'm better than you. Not at all.
Mhm.
To each his own, right?
Mhm.
So for those of you listening to this podcast, please don't take offense if I'm doing business and you're not, and don't feel like, oh, I'm rubbing it on you that I'm doing business and you're not, I'm making a profit and you're not. Please don't feel like that. I'm just saying this is my choice. And if your choice is to work for someone, that's totally okay.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that. Okay.
Mhm.
But going back to when I talk to someone, and I always ask them, do you want to be a worker or a business owner? If you want to be a worker, I'm not your guy.
Mhm.
I can't help you, get raise later on or how to get more raise. But if you want to be a business owner and create leverage, which we're going to talk about later, the lean method that I was talking about, then I can help you, because that's what I do. I help therapists, PTs, OTs, and speech therapists how to start a business on the side while keeping your full-time job. So I want them to understand I'm not asking them to quit their job.
Mhm.
Guys, if you start this business model, do not quit your job, because you have bills to pay,
Mhm.
car payments, you got to put food on the table. If you have kids, you got to, diapers to buy, milk to buy, credit cards to pay. Do not quit your job. You can start this on the side.
Mhm. Gotcha.
Now,
Oh,
is it clear how we make money on this model, Johan?
right. Yeah. It's for me how I understood it is that you are somewhat like of a staffing agency that if the home health agency needs a therapist to see one of their clients and provided their in-house therapist can't do that, they call
Yes.
on you.
Yes.
So they're outsourcing the treatment
Yes.
to
We are
you.
definitely, not somehow, but we are
Oh,
definitely a staffing company
okay.
locally.
Okay. Gotcha. So my question there is this would this work in all locations? Because there are, like when I was in Maryland, we have 4 or 5 home health agencies,
Mhm,
and all of them have in-house
mhm.
therapists. So is this something that you have to really look into if it's visible, if there's a lot of competition around?
Yes.
Hmm.
So that's a very good question. So
Hmm.
the answer to your question is, will this work in every location? The answer is
Hmm.
no.
Hmm.
No.
Hmm.
Because one of the things we look at when I talk to someone who's interested in doing this, I always ask, okay, what's your location?
Hmm.
Where are you at? Let's see the population. Let's see how many home health agencies are in the area. If
Hmm.
there's only one or two in the area, I don't think it's going to work. Unless they really need someone and there's
Hmm.
not enough therapists in their area. Okay.
Gotcha.
So part of the things that I teach
Hmm.
to my mentees is how to look for the number of agencies in your area and
Hmm.
how to find their rating if they're a
Hmm.
good agency to work with. Because with Medicare, I think they have either a 4-star or 5-star rating, if I'm not mistaken. But if their rating is middle and above, good. If
Hmm.
the rating is below the middle, don't even consider that agency. Okay.
Hmm.
So that's what I teach them. And I teach them
Hmm.
how to look for that.
Hmm.
Okay. So yeah, that's the answer to your question.
Good, good, great. So aside from looking into the number of home health agencies in your area and your population, what should be, or how does one, a therapist, or how does a therapist start in getting into this kind of business? What does one need to do?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main important thing is, instead of answering the question what,
Mm-hmm.
the most important question to answer is why.
Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any therapist that wants to start a business, you have to know your why.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? Okay. So in my case, my why was, I want to spend time with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
I want to spend time with my wife, and I want to take control of my time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be dependent on a job, on a paycheck. Again, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But I personally, I don't want that. Okay. So that why was so strong for me
Mm-hmm.
that I knew it will be very painful for me not to do or try something.
Mm-hmm.
It pains me to see myself that I'm going to continue working for someone until I'm 65. If I paint that picture in my mind, I'm like, hell no, I don't want that.
Right.
I'm not going to work for someone until I'm 65 and start enjoying life. But then that's just me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's different. If
Mm-hmm.
that's your plan, I respect that. If that's the majority's plan, I totally respect that. Please don't get mad at me, guys. I'm just saying it's not what I want. I want to enjoy life, while I still can.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I set out to look for what business can give me that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lifestyle question. Okay. What kind of lifestyle do I want, and what business can I build to fund that lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with that decision that I did back in 2003, I'm telling you, Johan, I never regretted it, because I never had to ask for a PTO. We didn't miss our kids' activities in school.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I, we would go fishing or watch a movie in the middle of the day without asking for permission. I would do anything again. I would do it again. If I'm given a choice, will I do it again? The answer is yes, I'll do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, so it starts with your why. So guys,
Mm-hmm.
if you're listening to this podcast, I want you to dig in. What is your why? Why would you start a business? Because money is a tool. Okay. It's not, don't answer it, oh, because I want to make a lot of money. But why?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to make a lot of money? What is the reason behind that? You
Mm-hmm.
have to dig deeper, because money is a tool. It's neutral, right? So once you find that why, then you will now determine, what do I do next?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the things in my videos that I explain is the cash flow quadrant. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay. So the cash flow quadrant, it's from the book by Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Have you heard of that book?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So one of the books he wrote along with other authors is the cash flow quadrant. Okay. So imagine this is a quadrant. On the left side of the quadrant, top left, is the E quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
We call that the employee quadrant. Okay. 90 to 99% of therapists or even any industry belong to this quadrant. What is the E quadrant, or the employee quadrant? We work for someone, we trade our time, we get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now below that, on the bottom left, is the S quadrant, which is the self-employed quadrant. On the self-employed quadrant, you're the boss, but you still trade your time.
Mm-hmm.
An example in our industry is, let's say you do cash base by yourself. Let's say you do wellness program by yourself. You do pelvic health by yourself. You are the product.
Mm-hmm.
It means if you stop working, no money is coming in. Okay. As a self-employed, I may offend someone by saying this, but it's the truth. It's still not a business. It's a job. That's why self-employed. You're just an employee, by yourself, right? You just decided to call the shots. Okay. So the common thing between employee and self-employed is you're trading your time
Mm-hmm.
for money. If you don't put in the time, no money, right? There's no money. Now, on the right side of the quadrant, on the top right, is the B quadrant, which stands for business owner quadrant. On the business owner quadrant, you hire people, you work with people, or they work for you. It's a combination. Okay. On that quadrant, on the business owner quadrant, you have a system that creates money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That it puts you in a situation that should you decide not to work, you still can make money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the last bottom right is the I quadrant, which is the investor quadrant, which means you have enough money laying around, you want to invest it. These are like the Shark Tanks, the angel investors. Okay. So the reason I'm pointing this out is it's important for you to know what quadrant are you in right now and where do you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So as therapists, most of us are workers. We are in the S quadrant, most of us, right? So the question now is, on the E quadrant,
Equal.
employee. Yeah. Do you want to stay in the E quadrant as an employee? Keep trading your time. If you want to stay there, again, I respect that, to each his own. Stay there. That's fine. But if you want to move into the B quadrant to be a business owner where you have money coming in, even if you decide not to work, then you have to do something to be in the B quadrant. You have to have a business. Okay. And what is the true test of a business? Okay. Because a lot of therapists get confused by, oh, I have an LLC, I have a business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next question is, who's doing the work? I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a business. It's a job. Even a high school kid can get an LLC. It's easy. Just go to legalzoom.com, less than $100. You have an LLC. But does that kid have a business? No, it's just a name. The true test of a business is this. Is money coming in should you decide not to work? If the answer is yes, you have a business. If the answer is no, you don't have a business.
Mm.
That's a true test of a business.
Oh. That's
Okay?
a different shift to my mindset, huh?
Exactly. Because you can have an LLC and treat every single patient cash base, even if you see 100 patients a week. But if you're doing all the work, you don't have a business. You have a job.
Right.
Okay. But when you start hiring someone to see those patients for you while you're out there, doing whatever you want with your time, fishing or traveling, then you have a business, because now you're making a profit. Because if you don't make a profit, okay, if you don't make a profit, then you don't have a business. You have a hobby. That's from Dave Ramsey, which is true. Right?
Right.
So
I agree. Wow. That's yeah.
I just change your mindset.
Right. It's an epiphany for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I've been like thinking about like opening up a business, but you're right. That's a different definition of business. It's not just the name, it's not just a company, but will you be able to stop working and still earn through that business? And that's
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's why DBA, doing business as, is also called fictitious name. It's just a name. It's just a name. The true test is, are you making money?
Gotcha.
Okay. Without you doing all the work. Okay. Which leads me now to, if you don't mind, we can talk about my lean method.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, if you're listening to this, if you ask me, okay, Bert, how do you know if a business is good? How do you know if this is the right business for me? Okay.
Right.
I came up with an acronym, LEAN. I call this the lean method. And just a disclaimer, this is totally different from the book, The Lean Method. That's a different book. This is from me. And let's go over it. Letter L stands for leverage. Okay. So what do I mean by that? You have to ask yourself for any business that you want to do. Letter L, leverage. Who's doing the work? If the answer is, oh, only I can do the work, then you don't have leverage. Again, you have a job. But if you can delegate that task to an assistant, another therapist, and still make money, that's leverage. So if you can do that, then letter L, check. Okay, we got leverage. Okay. Letter E stands for execution. Okay. How fast can you execute? Okay. Do I need to wait years before I can execute this project? Do I have to wait certain number of months before I can, start doing business, seeing patients or delegating patients? How long? Okay. So speed of execution is key. In my business model, in home health contracting, we don't wait for 60 to 90 days credentialing with Medicare, because we don't get credentialed by Medicare. It's totally different from outpatient Part B. Okay, the home health agency is the one credentialed by Medicare Part A. All we need is our license as therapists. Okay, so let's say I hired you, Johan, as a PR and PT in my business. Once your credentials check off, you can start tomorrow. That's speed of execution.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's say I sign a contract today with ABC Home Health, and they said, okay, Bert, we'll contract with your company. We'll start sending you patients. When? Tomorrow. We can start tomorrow. Okay. Because they signed the contract. We're licensed. Johan is licensed. My 2 PTAs are licensed. My OT is licensed. My CODA is licensed. My SLP is licensed. We can start tomorrow, guys. No need to wait. Okay. E, again, execution. Okay. Letter A of the lean method, acceleration. Okay. How fast can you grow this? How fast can you grow this? Okay. This business model, you can grow this as fast as you can, because again, you don't wait for credentialing from Medicare for 60 to 90 days. Okay. And let me tell you how I grew this by having a crew in Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso, McAllen, Brownsville. I have more than 100 therapists working for me, all PRN.
Wow.
How did that happen? Because therapists know other therapists that I don't know. It's like a spider web. You know therapists I don't know. I know therapists you don't know. Right? But
Right.
if I ask you, hey, Johan, do you know any PT in LA that can work for me? Of course you do. And that PT knows another PT you don't know. And then if I put in my plan and my strategy of, okay, for every therapist you refer to me and they start seeing patients, I give you this as an incentive. Then boom, now we're talking. Right? So it's easy to grow this business model. And I also teach my mentees, okay, how do you find therapists in your area? Where do you find them? You use technology. How do you talk to them? I give them a list of interview questions. This is what you need to ask. How do you know if they're a bad hire or a good hire? I tell them the red flags, because you and I know there's bad therapists and good therapists out there, right?
Yeah.
Especially in home health, you get therapists that, oh, they're in and out in 5 minutes. What can you do in 5 minutes? Come on,
Right.
man.
Yeah. Right.
You know, you don't want those. Those are bad tomatoes. You know, it's a cliche, but it's true. Okay, you have to find excellent therapists to work for your company because this is your baby. Okay, all right. So that's letter A, acceleration, and the last letter, letter N, as in Nancy, is no huge overhead. You don't want to start a business with a huge overhead. You don't want to start a business borrowing a lot of money. And I will quote Mark Cuban. This is not me. He said, if you start a business borrowing a ton of money, you're a moron. He said that. I did not. Okay. But to some extent, it's true. I mean, the guy is a billionaire. I mean, you can't refute that. You know, so no overhead in this business model. You don't hire full-time employees. We don't have an office. We run everything through the web. Why? Because most documentations are online, right?
Right.
Okay. So let me give you an example. We went to Hawaii for 3 weeks, my wife and I and our 2 kids. And I told my secretary, don't tell our crew. I want to see if I can run the business from my phone. So we were in Waikiki, and sure enough, I can see from my phone who's seeing who. And when payroll came, we were there. I did my payroll through the app in less than 10 minutes. So my wife and I looked at each other. You know what? We can go home to Philippines and run this from the Philippines. And then she goes, yeah, but what about the kids? They're friends. You can't do that, you know? So we didn't. We stayed in Texas. But that just shows you the beauty of this business model. You can be a nomad. You can go anywhere you want. Okay. But of course, from time to time, you still have to somehow come back and check in and be seen by your contracts. You just can't disappear. You know what I mean? So, but you know what I'm talking about. You control most of your time, right? So there you have it. LEAN, guys. Lean method. Leverage, execution, acceleration, no huge overhead.
So, so if a therapist already has reflected hard and tried to discover their whys in their business and decided to get into home health contract business, and with convinced with the lean method that you just said, that okay, this is for me, I think this is what would answer my whys and the answer to my problems. So what would be the financial requirements then, or logistical requirements in starting a home health contract? But would this be as tedious as creating a home health no as a mobile PT business or other or outpatient business?
That's a very good question.
Easier.
That's a very good question. So pretty much you're asking how much money do you need to start this business model?
Something like that, yeah. Because a lot of people are starting a business is somewhat, risky, You know,
Right.
they may be, they have families, or they have families support in the Philippines that they support. They
Mhm.
can't really or pay much attention to it. So, how much time and effort or money would they have to invest to start with?
Yes, that's a very good question.
Mhm.
But you mentioned a word there that I really want to hammer:
Mhm.
risky.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's talk about risk. Okay. And I think this is another thing we can talk about, will open the minds of a lot of therapists. Okay.
Mhm.
What is riskier? Having one job with one source of income, or having more than one source of income? I think that's a rhetorical question. Everybody
Mhm.
knows the answer. Obviously, you want to have more than one source of income, right?
Right.
But why do most therapists stick to just one source of income? Because they think, and I'm one of these therapists. I used to be guilty of this, because we think that, oh, our job is secured.
Mhm.
Job security. There's no such thing as job security anymore, Johan.
Mhm.
I think we've seen that in the past few years. We've gone through furloughs, we've gone through layoffs, because a lot of changes in reimbursements are happening. So you have furloughs and layoffs, and more to come,
Mhm.
right? It's not getting any better. So if you're a therapist and you're still thinking that, oh, my job is secured, sorry to break the news to you, no job is secured.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, your company can get bought out any minute. Your company can go bankrupt. Okay. Once they stop making a profit, they
Mhm.
won't keep you. Right. So there's no more job security. You're only as secured, and this is from Dave Ramsey, you're only as secured as your ability to create an income. What is your ability to create an income? If you're only leaning towards one source, which is your job, that's the highest risk as far as I'm concerned, because once that job is gone, you're
Mhm.
back to zero. You don't have a backup.
Gotcha.
Okay. What happens if you get furloughed tomorrow? Can that happen? Yes. Can you get fired tomorrow?
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. In Texas, this is a state where they can fire you just because they don't like your hair.
Oh, really?
Exactly.
Wow.
There's no such thing as protection or whatever. Nothing. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, one source of income is definitely the riskiest, as opposed to having different sources of income.
Right.
Okay. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But let me answer the cost. What's the cost of starting a business? You have your cost of putting up your LLC or S Corp, right?
Mhm.
You have your cost of accounting. Obviously, you have to pay a CPA.
Mhm.
And you have software for your payroll, right? But documentation wise, I teach my staff, I mean, not my staff, my mentees, how to talk to home health agencies to convince them to use their software.
Okay.
That saves you a ton of money.
Mhm.
Okay. Because it's not cheap.
Mhm.
If you've done home health before, you have your
Yeah.
Kinzer, you have your home care home base, you have your Devero, you have your, what do you call it, Access or something like that.
Mhm.
Those are very expensive software. And if you have to pay for those, golly, that's going to eat up your profit.
Right.
But I teach you how not to pay for those,
Mhm.
and make sure that your staff are included in the agency software. How do
Mm.
you deliver that? How do you tell the agency, can we use your software? You have to present the value. They have to see, oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll let you use our software. Then you save money.
Mhm.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And then to give you a ballpark figure, okay, what's the average loan for PTs, OTs, and SLPs in the US for student loans, right? The average student loan is about 100, 150 grand for
Okay.
school loans, okay?
Uh-huh.
The cost of doing this business model, I'm just going to give you a rough estimate, is not even 10% of that.
Oh, okay.
Not even, okay? The cost of starting an outpatient clinic, if you search Physical, they're a franchise company,
Yes.
and their info is public. If you Google it, last time I checked, it was 55 grand, almost half of the average student loans.
Mm-hmm.
55 grand. That's just a franchise fee. That doesn't include your build out costs, your monthly royalty costs,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else you have to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So give or take, I think they require a liquid of or a net worth of 150 to 250 grand.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Who has that money laying around?
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of therapists have that, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So especially if you're still paying a student loan
Right.
and trying to stay afloat and
Mhm.
supporting a family.
Mhm.
So again, to answer your question, less than 10% of 100 grand is what you need to start. The other question is, okay, Bert, how much money do I need in the bank to make sure I have something to keep this rolling?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as little as 2 grand.
Yeah.
If you have $2,000 in the bank in your business account,
Mhm.
then you're okay to start. You know why? Because you don't start with an influx of referrals right away. You're gonna grow this slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And remember what I said earlier, the money has to come from somewhere. The money that you pay your staff is coming from the invoice you're sending to your agency, where the agency pays you, and then you pay your staff. Okay.
Right.
So now, I mean, earlier I talked to you about the 3 things that goes out the window with
Mm-hmm.
this model, right?
Right.
Now, I also want to talk to you about the 3 things why this business can go wrong
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
someone. Because I don't want to talk here and show myself like, oh, his business is flawless, his business is perfect. There's
Mhm.
no way that business is gonna fail. No,
Yeah. Of course.
any business has a flaw, right? So right now, if you're listening to this is the time to write it down. The 3 things why this business cannot work for you. Okay. Number 1, this business model will not work for you if you don't know how to negotiate.
Mm,
Okay.
that's
Not
hard.
because you have a contract means you have a good contract. It can be a bad contract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some agencies will lowball you, like really lowball you. Okay. So if you don't know how to negotiate, this is not going to work for you. Okay. That's where I come in. As a coach to a lot of mentees, we brainstorm. I've been doing this since 2003. We're 2021 now. What, 18 years of doing
Mhm.
this? I've negotiated a lot. 18 years of negotiating. I think I can tell you that's a lot of mileage, right?
Mhm.
Under my belt,
Right.
right? So what I do is I teach my mentees what to say
Mm-hmm.
and what to ask. Okay, what to ask for. And when an agency counters, for example, let's say you're my mentee, okay, and you ask me, hey, Bert, I'm about to have a meeting with an agency. What
Mhm.
do I say? Okay, we will have a mock call where I will pretend to be an agency and I will ask you questions. So by the time you talk to an agency, you're ready. So if I don't like your answer, I would tell you, okay, Johan, you don't answer it like that. This is how you should say it. Delivery is key.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and confidence also. So on top of that, I'm also going to give you a script, and this script, my mentees use them a lot because now you can tweak this script based on your personality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they ask very common questions, and you follow this script, more often than not, you will land a contract. Okay, case in point, in my last live training, I have a PTA from Florida. PTA can do an eval. Okay, did this business. He has to outsource PTs to do the eval for him. This PTA, okay, landed 3 contracts even before we finished our 4-week live training.
Oh, really? Nice.
3 contracts. He was killing it. All right, using this script, using everything I was teaching him on what to do, and brainstorming with me on how to counter in case an agency gives you something. What I mean by that, for example, is okay, let's say an agency tells you, you know what, Johan, we can only pay $60 per visit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn around, let me think about that. I'll get back with you on that. You turn around, you call me, hey, Bert, they're offering $60. Do I accept it or not? My answer to you is hell no. No way. No. Okay. But you can counter. This is how you can say. This is what you need to say. Okay. Another example. I have a speech therapist mentee in Houston. Her name is Tina. Okay. So she called me and said, "Hey Bert, I'm in Houston. Obviously, I'm planning to ask for 85 per visit." I said, "No, Tina. Houston is a metro area, right? That's a metro area. Ask $100. If they say no, then you can at least go down to 85. Okay. Okay. And guess what happened? She got the $100.
She got. Oh wow. Okay.
Exactly. Because you can always go down,
Mhm.
but it's hard to go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't start 85. Oh, by the way, I want 95. Hell no.
No,
That's not going to work.
Right.
So things like that. I bring experience on the table. I do mock calls interview with you. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's number one. It won't work if you don't know how to negotiate. Number two reason why this is not going to work for someone is if you don't know the right people to hire in your team. Okay. Not because they have a license, you're going to hire them.
Right.
Like I said earlier, there's bad therapists, there's good therapists. How do you know if they're a good therapist? How do you know if they're a good candidate or a good hire to be added to your company?
Mhm.
Okay. I teach you how to find those red flags. How do you do background checks? How do you do drug testing? How do you ask the right questions during interview? What are the signs that this therapist, just wants comparing other contractors? Oh, he pays this. Can you match that? Oh, he pays that. Can you match that? You don't want that kind of therapist.
Mhm.
All right. So the cliche that says it only takes one bad tomato to mess up the whole basket of tomatoes is true.
True. Okay.
That's very true. Okay. So I teach you how to do that. And lastly, this is the most important. The number one reason why this is not going to work for someone is if you don't know how to get your money.
All right.
Exactly. If you don't get paid, buddy, there's no business.
Mhm.
You can't pay yourself. You can't pay your staff.
Mhm.
Okay. And there's been a lot of home health contractors that I know of that shut down because they were owed a lot of money.
Oh wow.
And that's the truth. That's the truth. You know why? I experienced it myself. First 3 years I was doing this, I had no coach. And
Mhm.
until now, I had no coach. As far as this business is concerned, I learned the hard way. Let me
Mhm.
tell you, Johan, there was an agency who owed me $21,500.
Were you able to get it from them?
After using a lawyer, I only got $5,000 back.
Wow.
That was a hard lesson learned. But did I give up? Obviously not. I'm still here, right?
Uh-huh.
18 years of doing this.
Uh-huh.
I took it as a hard lesson learned. I took it as the highest tuition fee that I had to pay for this hard lesson.
Wow.
I told myself this will never happen again. I will learn
Mhm.
from this, and it
Mhm.
never happened again. Okay. My lawyer told me, you know what, Bert, get your $5,000 and don't do business with this SOB again.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh.
There are agencies that will take advantage of contractors. Like I
Mhm.
said, if you don't know that you have a good contract, then it'll fail. Okay.
Mhm.
So come to find out, this agency was a type of agency that would sign a contract with one contractor, don't pay them, sign another contract with the next one, don't pay them, sign another contract. They were jumping from one contractor to the other,
Oh.
screwing contractors left and right.
And they're getting away from with it? Yeah. Wow.
What comes around goes around. This
Mhm.
agency eventually got raided by FBI. They got shut down because they're doing stuff that are illegal.
Mhm.
That tells you the character
Karma.
of that
Right.
agency. Exactly.
Mhm.
So during that time, I didn't know how to screen agencies. I didn't know how to find out if an agency is good or not.
Mhm.
I had to, I guess, learn it the hard way.
Mhm.
And this is what I'm teaching my mentees. I
Mhm.
don't want them to experience what I experience.
Mhm.
Okay. So we have a way to test. Is this agency a keeper? Is
Mhm.
this agency paying on time? What are the red flags? Okay. If this agency is not paying you on your first 2 to 3 invoices, stop. Stop taking referral.
Uh-huh.
Get your money. If you don't get your money, how do you get your money? Do this without hiring a lawyer. If the amount is past this, then hire a lawyer. So all of that I've laid out, and I've taught my mentees so that they won't experience what I experienced, so that they can get paid. Now, if they don't follow those rules, that's on them.
Wow.
Not on me, because greed will kill you. Okay, greed will shut down your business.
All right.
If you keep taking referrals without looking at your cash flow because you're greedy of, oh, I want more referrals, I want more and more invoices, they'll put you under quickly.
Yeah.
You have to run your business the right way. Okay. Again, 18 years of doing this, I've seen the good and the bad, and I've learned how to do it right. And I'm saying this not to toot my horn. I'm saying this because I'm being honest enough and humble enough to tell you I don't know everything. I learned the hard way. Okay. And that's what I impart to my mentees. So again, just to recap, 3 things why this won't work for you. If you don't know how to negotiate, if you don't know the right people to hire, and if you don't know how to get your money. And most Filipinos, right? We're very shy in asking for our money.
That's true.
We think like, oh, what's the word? Nakakahiya. That's the word for
Right.
I'm embarrassed to get my money. But I learned, you know what? That's your money. Don't be shy to get your money. You work for it. You're not begging for it.
We don't negotiate, and we can't even ask for our money. That's the Filipino
exactly
trait.
yeah as a matter of fact, we should have the attitude of what do you call this? This is a joke that I have to share. What is the difference between a terrorist and a physical therapist?
What?
We as physical therapists, we don't negotiate. We gotta, the patient has to do what they gotta do. If you don't negotiate, get up, do your exercises, let's go.
Right.
So that was you said the word negotiate. Anyway, any more questions, Johan?
Because we're running out of time, but I want you to explain to our audience the patient loop, which you mentioned before our conversation.
Sure. So guys, earlier I was talking to Johan. I apply this in my business. I call it the patient loop. The patient loop is actually a loop where how do you keep the patient most of the time in your business? Okay. So there's 3 businesses that you can put the patient into. Number 1, in my business, we get patients through home health contracting from the home health agency. Okay. When they're no longer homebound, we can pick them up on mobile part B. This is where you need credentialing, 60 to 90 days. Okay. And to be honest with you, that is not my bread and butter. My bread and butter is the home health contract. But I have my own Medicare credentialing. I have my own Medicare part B business, because when patients are no longer homebound, the agencies, they let us absorb them on part B. So with part B, I don't bill the home health agency. I bill Medicare directly. But still revenue coming in. I outsource that. I have a billing company that does the billing for me. So that's the second business. Now, when they're done with mobile part B and they no longer have medical necessity, but they still want therapy, or not therapy, wellness program. Let's say they would tell Johan, hey, Johan, I like you. You're a great therapist. I want to continue doing my exercises. Can I pay you cash? Johan would be like, yeah, sure. Let's put you in a wellness program. Now, just to be clear, this is not medical. This is just like any gym membership, and we charge cash. Okay. So that's cash. So again, home health first, mobile part B second, and then wellness program last. So when they're in the wellness program, and for some reason they decline, which most of the time they will, because these are geriatric patients, and, especially with comorbidities, right? When they decline and they have medical necessity, you can pick them up again, either through mobile Medicare Part B or home health contracting.
Gotcha. Right.
Okay? So I offer these 3. Okay. I have clients or mentees that want all 3, and I offer them as a bundle. But most of my mentees, they want to start with home health contracting first and get some money coming in. Okay.
Nice,
So
nice,
did I
nice.
answer that question?
Yeah, you did. That's a good model, because a lot of 'cause I worked in home health, and a lot of the patients that I had after discharging them from home health would ask me, where do I go next?
You send
You
them to
know,
outpatient clinics, right?
outpatient clinics.
That's money on the table you're leaving, man.
Right, right, right. And there's a need there. So if you have this type of model and you can address that, then you kind of keep them for yourself,
Right,
help them through that phase,
right,
and you build that rapport and loyalty with them.
right.
So that's a good model. That's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
thought as well.
But
So
just to be clear, just a
mhm,
disclaimer,
mhm,
if you have patients that want to go through your mobile part B, you have to
mhm,
be transparent with the agency.
exactly. Hmm.
You have to let them know, look, I also have a part B. I
Hmm.
don't want you to think that I'm recruiting your home health patients to go to my part B,
Hmm.
you know, and the patient has their own choice. You got to give
Right.
them choices. You
Hmm.
can't be monopolizing and say, hey, I have a part B when you're done with home health. You can't do that.
Right.
That's illegal.
Yeah. There.
Okay.
That's a Stark law, I guess. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to give them choices,
Hmm.
and the doctor obviously has to write prescription. And if you're in
Hmm.
a direct state, you can
Hmm.
do direct, but you have limitations. I think most
Hmm.
states are 30
Hmm.
days.
Yeah. The important thing is that you are informing all of the options
Right.
for your patient. If they choose to stay with you, then that's good.
And most of them will.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Especially if you build that good rapport with them.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you very much, Bert, for coming into the show to
You're welcome.
sharing, imparting with us your experience and your knowledge with us. So where can the audience reach you if they're interested to get into this home health contract business?
Sure. If you're interested in home health contracting business or mobile part B or wellness or the combination of three, guys, I'm more than happy to give you my cell phone. I'm probably the only guest that will give you a cell phone. It's 972-649-9909. Text me directly.
All
Nine
right.
seven two 649 9909. Or
Wow.
yeah, I'm an open book. If I can help you, I will tell you. If I can't, I will at least point you in the right direction.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you want to watch the videos, these are free videos on how this model works exactly from A to Z.
Hmm.
Go to my website, rehabpreneur.com. Rehab, REHAB, preneur, PRENEUR.com. So it's a combination of rehab and entrepreneur, rehabpreneur.com.
Hmm.
You can download the 4 free videos in there. Okay. And it will
Hmm.
send it to your email. And then at the end of those videos, if you want to talk to me one-on-one, over the phone, there's a calendar. It shows you my availability. It's a free call. It's about 15 minutes. And we will talk about your situation. And
Hmm.
if I can help you, like I said, I'll give you your options. If I can't, I'll point you to who can help you. Is that cool?
Gotcha. Yeah. Good. Yeah, you're the only person who gave out his phone number here.
I'm an open book.
All right.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah.
yeah, again, thank you very much. But before I let you go, I have my last three bites, my last three questions for you.
Sure.
Um, First question is, what's your recipe for success?
My recipe for success is knowing your source.
Hmm.
And I don't mean to sound religious, guys,
Hmm.
but like I said earlier, money is only a tool.
Hmm.
And I respect every religion, but I'm a Christian.
Hmm.
My sources are my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I shouldn't be here because of the COVID,
Hmm.
but just to share with you real quick, when I had COVID, it could have gone either way. I could have died or survived, right?
Hmm.
But I never felt any fear of death. The verse that the Bible says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. I literally experienced that. I was so at peace because of my relationship with our Lord Jesus Christ. I knew that if I go, it's all right. It is well with my soul. I knew that my kids, my wife are going to be taken care of. That's my number one recipe. Everything comes from him. I don't own anything.
Hmm.
I'm just a steward. I'm just passing by, and I do what I can to help others. And I don't know anything. I am what I am because of God's grace in my life, and I'm not ashamed to say that. So I hope I answered that question.
Right. Ah, that's very profound. Second question is, what's a book that you have read recently or a long time ago that helped you?
Sure. So, guys, instead of recommending a book, there are at least three books I want you to
Mhm.
read if you want to go into business. Number one is Rich Dad Poor Dad
Mhm.
by Robert Kiyosaki. It will change your mindset. Okay. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a very good read. Okay. It also actually helped me get into real estate now. Besides this home health contracting, my wife and I are doing real estate rentals and house flipping and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And that's the beauty when you get into entrepreneurship. The skills you learn along the way, you can apply in other businesses.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, the other book that I really applied to my business is The 4 Hour Work Week
Mm.
by Tim Ferriss. Okay. 4 Hour Work Week. I literally pattern my business with that book because I don't want to work 40 hours a week. So if you
Mhm.
ask me, hey, Bert, how many hours do you work a week? I'll be honest with you. And I don't say this to brag, 4 to 6 hours the most, because I have the system.
Mhm.
System works. Okay.
Mhm.
And then the third book is E Myth by Michael Gerber. E dash Myth. It has edition 1 and 2. It will tell you how to run your business without wearing all the hats. Okay.
Oh.
Because the number one problem with business owners is when you start wearing all the hats, which you will at the beginning, but if you stay there, then that's no good.
Mhm.
Okay. See, I don't wear all the hats. I don't take care of everything from this beginning to the end.
Mhm.
I have a secretary that I pay. I don't mow my lawn, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I pay someone $20 to mow my lawn. If some of you wants to do that, that's your thing. I respect that. I
Mhm.
just think I can use my 1 hour with something that's more productive than cutting my grass. It's
Mhm.
just me.
Mhm.
Like if I see a patient for $75 in 1 hour, I pay the guy $20. I made $55,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
That's just my thinking. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So those are the three books.
Nice. And we are going to, list them down for people to see. And my last question is, what are the three ingredients? It may be a value, a motto, a principle, a virtue characteristic of yours that you carry every day that you think are essential in your daily lives. Or in short, what are the three ingredients that make up Bert De Vera?
Wow, that's a deep question. um, Number one, as I've said earlier, knowing your source.
Mhm.
Okay, every day is a gift. No one is guaranteed tomorrow.
Mhm.
I thank God every day, and when I talk to someone, I always tell them today is a great day. Any day above ground is a good day. It's a
Mhm.
gift, right?
Right.
And then number two is being grateful,
Mhm.
because being bitter, hateful, or being frustrated and complaining about all things, those things cannot coexist with gratefulness.
Mhm.
If you're grateful, then you have a better outlook in life.
Mhm.
And I've read this book, The Traveler, and that taught me about gratefulness. And in that book, it says the seeds of depression will never take root in a grateful heart.
Mm.
It will
That's a
never.
good
They,
one.
they cannot coexist.
Mhm.
Depression and gratefulness cannot coexist. But just to balance it out, medical depression is true. I
Mhm.
believe that when there's chemical imbalance, you
Mhm.
need to get treatment.
Mhm.
But if it's not a medical depression, then change it with gratefulness.
Mhm.
Okay. And then number three is, you know, above God, I mean, next to God, putting your family first.
Mhm.
Okay. We do stuff because of our family.
Mhm.
I answered my why I did this for my family.
Mhm.
It's not perfect. I don't have everything figured out.
Mhm.
I have my flaws as a husband, as a father. But at the end of the day, next to God, it's my family. Because
Mhm.
no matter how successful I am in business, if I failed in my family,
Mhm.
then I failed. That's just how I look at it. No
Right.
amount of business success can equal or surpass your failure with family. Now, if you have some family issues right now, I just want to encourage you going through divorce, whatever, move forward. Today is a new day. Tomorrow's a new day.
Mhm.
Ask yourself, how can I make today better than yesterday? How can I be better? And like I said, we all have our problems and issues, but those are the things that matters to me.
Right. Perfect. Knowing your source, gratefulness, and putting your family first. Those are the three ingredients of Bert De
Yes,
Vera.
sir.
Again, thank you very much, Bert, for coming over here, explaining to us what a home health contract business is. Uh, explain to us the lean method, leverage, execution, acceleration, and the third one is
For no
no
huge overhead.
no huge overhead. Yeah, right. I forgot to write that down. So yeah,
Yeah,
and
no
again,
problem.
thank you for sharing that. And for all of those that we've discussed about business, the concept of business, with which you shared, I gave me a different definition of business. What is that one thing that you want our audience to take away from this episode?
Good question. If you're listening to this and you are on the fence of starting a business, but you're scared, you're nervous, you're not sure of yourself, I just want to tell you that's normal.
Mhm.
No person who went into business were sure of themselves. You have to take risk. Okay. In my case, I evaluated the risk. What's the worst thing that can happen? And this is what most lawyers will ask. And I'm not a lawyer, but it's a very good question. What's the worst thing that can happen? If the business didn't work, I still had my license. I can still look for a job, right? What if it worked? And in my case, it worked. And it's still working for the past 18 years. What if I gave into that fear of starting a business and never did it? I would still be working for someone for the past 18 years. But again, I respect everyone who wants to do that, but that's not what I wanted. I would have been miserable. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So give yourself a shot. Go for it. If you have that fear or nervousness, that's normal.
Mhm.
Especially as immigrants, we had that fear when we first, had the news that, okay, your visa got approved, you're going to the US. What? Right? So
Right.
you had that fear, but you went through it anyway, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, for those who are local in the US, when you first got admitted into PT school, OT school, or SLP school, you got a letter. Congratulations, you got accepted in the program. You were so excited, but then you were nervous.
Yeah.
What? Am I going to finish this with all the student loans and everything?
Mhm.
Gosh, but you went through it anyway.
Right.
Okay? My advice is tap into that determination, tap into that, what do you call it? Guts.
Mhm.
Okay. Tap into that and give yourself a shot because you deserve it. You
Mhm.
deserve to give yourself a shot and see what happens. Okay. The worst thing that can happen is at the end of your life, you're like, what if, what if, what if?
Mhm.
Okay. I would tell you a quote from Michael Jordan, and this is probably, a cliche. He said, I can accept failing. Everybody fails at something,
Mhm.
but I cannot accept not trying.
Oh, that's good.
And he's one of the best, if not the GOAT of
Mhm.
basketball.
Right.
And if you guys don't know, Michael Jordan got cut on his first tryout in his first year. He didn't make the team in North Carolina.
Oh,
He
really? I
had to
didn't know
wait
that.
1 year. He
Mhm.
had to wait 1 year to try out again.
Mhm.
Had he given up after the first cut, there's no Michael Jordan.
Right.
He failed to make the cut the first year, but he waited 1 year, got better, and the rest is history, as you all know. So,
Mhm.
in other words, guys, keep trying. Never give up. Give yourself a shot.
Mhm.
And if you just want a kick in the pants, You want someone to encourage you, give me a call. You have my
Right.
cell phone.
Yeah. Reach out to Bert. He gave out his cell phone. You can check out his website as well for it. Yeah. Thank you very much, Bert, for this time.
No problem. Johan, thanks for having me as a guest. I appreciate it. You're doing a great thing here, sharing with our colleagues, abroad in the Philippines, in this podcast, sharing stories like what you guys just heard today and your previous and your future guests. I'm pretty sure you're going to do a great service for our colleagues. Keep it up, bro. And good luck with the rest of your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.